So I want to remind everyone about the project. The project needs to be submitted 31st of this month. So please do your project. It is for your own good because in the future you can come back to it to use as one of your portfolio. So in the last class, we stopped at function parameter destructuring. Function parameter destructuring. So we were talking about destructuring in the last class, and the structuring is all about unpacking the content of an object. And the objects we are talking about in this case, they are the array and the object itself. So we can use the structuring in parameters. You can see that these parameters here, there are two, and these two variables are enclosed in within these two curly braces. So which suggests that there is some form of destruction going on there. And you can see that this variable is passed into this what's it called again? Placeholder in the interpolation. This is another placeholder. And by the time you call the greet person, this is a person object, a person whose name is Alice, and the age is 25. And remember, I said that when you are destructuring, you try as much as possible to use the properties of what? Of the object. Ensure that the variable tallies with the property. Name here, which is the property, name here, the variable, age here, and age there. So when person is now passed into this greet person and greet function rather, what is happening is that this person is assigned to this structured variable. So it's similar to what we did last week. So by assigning the person object, so whatever value here is passed to this name, and the value here is passed to the age. And that is why we are able to print hello Alice, you are 25 years old. You can demonstrate this example on the IDE. If I run this, you see that hello Alice, you are 25 years old is printed out. And remember that you can give this an alias. right? You can give this alias. Probably you don't want to use the properties of that object. So you can say age, or I can call this years. So since I've renamed it, I have to, if I run it, it will give me error. So I have to now use the name, the new, oh, undo, the new name I created in those placeholders, and I will have same back. Is there any question? Is there any question?
No, no, sir.
Okay. So I move on. We treated default values in the past. Now you can use these same default values when you are trying to call a function. Now you can see in this case that we have guest assigned to name and 18 assigned to age. And remember that the default values will kick in if there are no values supplied to the structured object. So in this case, you can see that an empty object is being assigned to the structured object. Therefore, because there's nothing here, no value for name, no value for age, guest will be printed out here, and 18 will be printed out there. If I copy this and I go to the IDE and say run, you will see that hello guest, you are 18 years old is printed out. Let us assume that I do not want to pass this right there. So that simply means that if I call this greet function without any argument, I'm going to have error. For me to call it, I need to put an empty object there in order to trigger the guest and age 18. If I run it, you will see that guest and 18 is also triggered. But if I want value for this guest and a different age for the age, I can give this a new name, right? Then age, age, say 24. When I run, you will see Sean and 24 years old is printed. Is there any question?
No, sir.
No question. Okay. So I move on. Now, just like we have mixed the structure in array, we have mixed here. You can see this nested object within the main object. The main object is a data, and there is another object, publisher, within that data object. So just like we did, you and also look at this also. There is a nested array within this object. So you can destructure that also as if you are trying to rename these authors, then you destructure whatever is inside this array into their variables. And also publisher, you write as if you are renaming that publisher, then you destructure the content. But in this case, what is needed here is only the name. You can see that location is what ignored. Location is ignored. So the publisher name will be printed here, which is the publishing house. So you can see the example here. Title is book title. Title is printed. First author. First author is Alice. Alice is printed out. Second author is Bob. That is printed out. And the publisher is printed out, which is the publishing house. Is there any question?
No.
No question.
Sir, just joined.
Oh, okay. So you just try to follow.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it's fine. I think I'm getting it.
Okay, that's fine. So I move on. Now, this is an example of how you can use the structuring. Now, before the advent of the structuring, for programmers to swap these two variables, we need to create. Let us just quickly demonstrate this. Let me just copy this to save me typing. If I want to swap the values of this variable, I want A to hold 2 and then B to hold 1. Now, before the structuring, what many programmers did in the past is to create a top variable, right? Top variable, you can set it to whatever value you want. So what we do is that we assign 2, that is C, we assign B to C, the value of B. Then we assign the that is value of B to C. Then we assign the value of B as value of A to B. Then we now assign the value of C to A. So A is now equal to C. If we print out before we print, let me print out the value of B, A and B before swapping. Console.log A, the value of A. I'm going to put A in there, comma, no, let me use semicolon, value of B, then B. So before swapping, then let me copy this after swapping. Let me run. You can see before swapping, A is 1, B is 2, then the values are swapped. So A is now 2 and B is now 1. So this was how many programmers way back used to swap values. However, with the coming in of the structuring, you can easily just replace the values of of A and B by applying that destructuring. Say B, comma A. So you assign A, the value of A, this A will go into B, and the value of B will go into A. If you look at the presentation, let me clear the screen. So you can see here that these values are what assigned, put inside what an array. You can see that here, although here it says BA, it doesn't matter in as much as one is swapped, right? So I can now say console.log A, console.log, the log, let me use backtick, A, value of A, and value of B. Dollar sign. So if I run this, you can see A initially was 1, now is 2. B was initially 2, now is 1. So those values are now swapped. Then we can do extraction of subsets. Now you can destructure specific properties from objects while working with APIs. Time will not permit us to go into APIs, right? API means application. Where's my pen? Application programming interface. That is what API means. So now you can see that we have this object nested within this API response, because many APIs we have nested object, nested array in the output of the data being sent out. I cannot go into details into API now, because there's many other things we need to cover before getting to to the API. But what I want you to take away from this is that no matter how nested the object is, you can extract whatever information that you need. Now, looking at this example, you will see that the data, this data is an object on its own, and it is nested within the API response object. And if you look critically, you will see that there's another object, user, that is within the data. So you can destructure. First of all, destructure the data. Remember, the column here is like you are renaming, right? So it's like you are saying that, okay, instead of bringing out data, bring out this for me. Let me put this on the same straight line so that we appreciate it better. So we know that API response is an object. This is an object. So we are trying to now destructure the content of this API response. And like I said earlier on, you can see that we have nested objects. So you capture the property of the data you are looking out for, capture the property which is data, and try and use the column which most of the time we use to rename the property. So it's like we are saying whatever content inside this data, pour them into this object. And if you if you notice that the user is what a property of this data object. That is why we have this property, and we can rename it. Rename it what is a value. So now we now have the name, which is this one. This is the property here. We have the name because we that is the data required. Assuming that the ID is needed, then there also will have been ID right there. But this is not required, and that is why you are seeing just the name property. So, and then the status, which is this. So whatever value that is being passed from this API response, where's my pen? So whatever value that is being passed, this data is the value being passed, this one. So what is happening is this. For this user, this alias is passed into this name, and the status, the success, is passed into this status variable. And the moment you are able to destructure, then you can access the variable directly from here. Let us quickly demonstrate this to be sure that the code can run effectively. I will go to the IDE, then paste there. If I run this code, you can see Alice, which is the name, and the status, which is success, printed out. Is there any question, Demola and Joshua?
Yes, sir.
Demola, is there any question? Demola, is there any question? Okay, apparently. I move on. So to the last slide, I'm going to stop here today, right? Again, I do not want to pass too much information. I don't want to see it as if I'm rushing. So, um, Demola, are you with us? Let me just confirm that
Yes,
first.
sir. Yes, sir.
I was calling your name, asking if you have any question. You didn't answer. So now,
No,
you said what?
don't worry, never mind, sir.
Okay, all right. Despite the um, um, the features brought in by by the structuring, although we have limitation in the array, you need to um, follow the order in which the items are arranged. You need to be careful because you can easily swap items, values. So that is very important. Now, the default value also for missing properties, default values are only used for undefined properties, not null. So undefined properties. If you remember in your, what's it called again? Mm, ah, the types, the primitive type, you will see that undefined is also a type. So if you do not pass in any value, like maybe you passed and you try to pass that data type of undefined, you will not sorry, or no, rather, you will not have anything. It will it can give you unwanted result, but most of the time it will output null. So you can look at this value here. We are trying to destructure this object. And I'm going to repeat again. If you are destructuring an object, the property must be the same with the variable within that destructured object. Now, this is default value. Default value comes in if this object is empty. But now it is not empty, it is null. So trying to pass a null to the value of this age, of course, it will bring null because this null is also a data type. It's just null, it's the absence of nothing, right? So I want you to take note of those things. And again, the third one, when you are renaming the properties, be careful so that so that the variable given to the property does not clash with any existing variable in the scope. So I want you to note that. So I'm going to stop here today, and I want to ask Demola, how far have you gone with your project?
I've been unable to do anything so far because I've been busy for the past 2 weeks. Some school stuff. But school is closing next week, Wednesday, so by then I will have done something.
Okay, hopefully, hopefully. So is there any question before we call it a day?
No, sir.
Joshua, is there any question? Joshua, is there any question?
No, sir.
Okay. So we will continue from type of and instance of. All right. Thank you and God bless.